Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Rock Video Rental. My name is Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. And we are starting our awesomely bad month and kicking off 2025 with a classic. We are going to be talking about the Toxic Avenger, but before we get to that, Caleb, have you been watching anything good?
Oh, not really. Didn't really get time to get around to it. Watch a lot of football, so because it's bowl season, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Doing did I spent a little bit of time gaming and everything. Nothing new to really share there, but one thing for people, it's kind of movie related. I've heard good things. I haven't gotten into it myself yet. I was hoping I'd have more time over this kind of holiday downtime break and whatnot, but Xbox has Game Pass, and on Game Pass they have the new Indiana Jones game, which is based off of the movie series. I'm not sure if it's the whole series or if it was one specific one, but anyways, I've
Yeah.
heard really good things about it. So I don't have anything personally to share about it, but if you are into gaming and if you for some reason had not heard about that, a lot of people have been pretty happy with that Indiana Jones game available on Game Pass, so you can maybe check
Rock.
that out.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a new Indiana Jones game, so I'm kind of interested as well.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Um, for me, bowl game. I watched a couple bowl games, bits and pieces of them here and there. Um, I don't know. That Texas one, I was really hoping Arizona State would win. And I watched a fair amount of the Michigan one. I was working while it was on, so I didn't get to watch the whole thing. But I listened to a lot of it. Um, and the Office Superfan episodes. I just watched like the Golden Ticket one. That was pretty good. There was an extended thing about the Kevin's famous chili in the one episode.
Yeah.
So that was a classic moment that was fun to see extra of. Oh, other than that, there's this guy on YouTube that I watch who does like challenges in the old Pokemon games where he takes like one Pokemon and tries to beat the entire game just with one of them at like the lowest level he possibly can. And it's kind of interesting because he does it a lot of like fast speed, so usually the longest an episode is like a half hour.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting because he takes ones that are usually pretty bad and beats the whole game with them. And just seeing like his strategy and stuff he's got to do and how many glitches and stuff are in that game that you can exploit. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Not a not a whole lot. But I did get a chance to watch The Toxic Avenger again, so let's talk about it. The Toxic Avenger is from 1984 and is directed by Michael Hers and Lloyd Kaufman. The plot is Tromaville has a monstrous new hero. The Toxic Avenger is born when meek mop boy Melvin falls into a vat of toxic waste. Now evildoers will have a lot to lose. The cast, we got, I'm not sure how to say this one. Andrea?
Huh?
Andre?
Yeah.
Miranda as Sarah, Mitch Cohen as the Toxic Avenger, Jennifer Baptiste as Wanda, Cindy Mannion as Julie, Robert Pritchard as Slug, Gary Schneider as Bozo, Pat Ryan as Mayor Belgoody, and Mark Torgel as Melvin. I think I've seen this movie maybe four times.
Okay.
Like not a whole bunch. The last time I watched it, it was on uh the last drive-in at Joe Bob Briggs.
Rock.
So that was a fun way to watch it because he had Lloyd Kaufman in there answering questions and everything. And Lloyd's an interesting guy if you've never seen him in interviews.
No.
He's really goofy, but he's extremely knowledgeable on uh like movie making.
Hmm.
And he's got like a ridiculous amount of knowledge about exploitation movies and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a big cult movie, and it was like the movie that put Troma on the map.
Hmm.
So
So what
yeah.
you're gonna have to explain to me because I know you've mentioned it several times. What classifies as a trauma movie then? Is it just
Well, they're just ones that are made by um Lloyd Kaufman's company, Troma.
okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, kind of like how we talk about canon films.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a similar deal as that. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like this one's probably the best one,
Okay.
at least the best one that I've seen. But I've only seen probably less than 10 Troma movies, and I've seen the sequel to this, which is pretty goofy in its own way too. um, I was trying to figure out how to categorize this movie. It's like it's action, it's sci-fi, it's comedy, and it's kind of horror too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure exactly where you can really pigeonhole this movie.
No, it's definitely a unique, weird one. Also, like the Toxic Avenger. I don't know necessarily if the Avenger is the right word. Because
What would you
he's,
say?
well, I don't know. He's straight up murdering people. Like, I mean,
But
especially
it's all bad guys.
right, but it's not like, oh, stop or I'll shoot. Oh, I shot you. It's like, no, I'm going to like
Disembowel you.
destroy you, mangle you, hurt you, do so many ridiculously things to you, and yeah,
Gonna, yeah, mutilate you,
some
disembowel
might
you.
call it over the top, but
Oh yeah, for sure. If there's one thing um that you can say about trauma is that it is over the top. uh I'm not sure if we'll ever do any more trauma movies. I guess we'll kind of see how you feel about this movie. Maybe we can do some of the sequels because there's I think four of them.
for this,
Another movie I remember being pretty fun was Class of Nukem High.
okay.
That's another trauma movie.
So there were four
Um,
sequels to this. You were saying though?
yeah, I believe so.
Oh wow,
I know there's this one, the second one I saw, part three, and then I think part four is Citizen Toxie.
wow.
And they were gonna do a remake. It was gonna have Peter Dinklage in it,
Uh,
but
hmm.
yeah, that kind of didn't happen for whatever reason. I don't know. But um, yeah, I guess we went through the cast and everything.
No real
Explaining
strong
some of this movie.
performances.
Yeah, strong performances.
Not
There
so
really isn't
much.
any, but
No.
that's kind of the charm of Troma.
Yeah.
Uh, the music really wasn't that bad. That song, that Body Talk song
Mm-hmm.
that plays it towards the beginning and at the in the end credits, it kept getting stuck in my head.
Yeah.
It's delightfully 80s and cheesy.
Oh yeah.
That was a good time. The intro is pretty funny too because it shows like the Tromaville fitness center or whatever it is. And like you get all these like 80s aerobics and people using Nautilus machines and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And people are almost using it like a nightclub or something
Yeah.
where they're hooking up and hanging out and there's dudes just standing there in like speedos talking to each other. Like what is this all about? And then we get to meet Melvin, the janitor, who's like incredibly goofy and
Mm-hmm.
just like the dweebiest guy you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, for some reason, the bullies in there just hate him.
Well, he definitely is not the best at his job,
He's
and
like a Steve Urkel.
yeah, but maybe a little bit more perverted.
Yeah, Well, I mean, everybody's kind of perverted in this movie.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they definitely really hated him for some like it was super weird that they hated him so much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
that's what I thought too.
yeah, then also like I thought it was just kind of crazy bizarre the main people
Hmm.
bad guys, bad people I guess,
Yeah.
were like just murdering people in the street.
Yeah, exactly. That's their idea of fun is to go out in a car and they have a point system for people that they can hit and run over and kill.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a kid. It's like 10 points if you get him and the bike. Just completely ridiculous.
Yeah. It just I don't know. I mean, I know this movie was goofy top to bottom and everything, but it
Yeah.
just seemed so bizarre, kind of that element and everything, because it just jumped into it so fast too.
Yeah.
Because it was just I don't know, like it's kind of weird to try to explain, but it goes from like 0 to 100 really fast. And then everybody, even when we get to the part where they go far enough to pull the prank on Melvin, where it leads
Hmm.
to him falling in the toxic stuff, like everybody's just laughing and thinking that's hilarious.
Yeah. Like, oh, we just mutilated this guy. And then he comes out and he's just like, uh, it's like his flesh is like falling off pretty much, looks like. And then all of a sudden he catches on fire. And I'm like, dude, that is a crazy stunt.
Yeah.
On such a low budget movie.
Hmm. It's like RoboCop.
Yeah. Or the burning, but that
Hmm.
long burning scene in that one.
Yeah.
But this one I couldn't see the huge puffy burning suit
Yes.
like you
Very true.
can in the burning.
Yeah.
But yeah, the special effects I think are probably what's really the best in this movie. Um, we got Melvin's transformation into Toxie. That's pretty cool. Some of the kills are just ridiculous.
Hmm.
And then the one of the most effective ones is when they run over that kid in a car.
Yes.
And then they run over his head and it explodes everywhere.
Uh
And then the
huh.
two girls get out and take pictures of it.
Yep.
That is just ridiculous. Um, I got something in the trivia and facts on how they did the head explosion thing, the head
Okay.
popping or whatever when they run him over because it's pretty funny. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest highlight of the movie, other than the goofy body talk song. I was really digging.
Well, one thing that they did that I thought worked out rather well was the that they didn't show Melvin's face after he was mutilated for
Yeah.
a long time. I don't know. It kind of like added some mystery and suspense to it for a little while.
Hmm.
Didn't do anything amazing, but I don't know. I think it helped support it a little bit more because you needed something to kind of be curious about and to grab your attention besides the crazy over the top kills. So,
Yeah. I like I like the narration too. What is happening to me? He goes from like this sniveling, nasally, like just geek to having like this deep voice, and he
yeah.
just goes most of the time.
Well, he goes from the geek, dorky, dweeby body, voice, face kind of thing, and then he falls
Yeah.
in the toxic thing, and then he comes out and he mutates into a huge, bulking, like bodybuilder with a sexy voice, but then just a mutilated face.
Yeah, his face looks like a potato that you put in the oven for too long.
Yeah, well, dude, totally sloth from Goonies
Oh
vibes.
yeah, because he's got like the eye that's lower than the other one.
Yeah,
Oh man.
because that
Yeah.
was man, these were like right around the same time.
Yeah, I
Because
think so.
that was this was 84, I think, and Goonies was 85. So
Jason came first though,
true.
being a mongoloid.
Yep.
Frog Boy, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, I mean the look of Toxic is pretty cool too. And I thought another good thing was just the idea of this movie. I mean, having the idea of it's like, okay, we got this wimpy nerd who falls into toxic waste, and then he becomes a like a mutant that can almost like sense danger and crime, and
Hmm.
he goes and beats up these bad guys. It just completely kills them. Just like the goofy humor and
Well, I didn't know how to feel too when they gave him a girlfriend.
yeah, of course she's blind because she can't see his mutilated face.
Right. And I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb and over the top. But I mean, then after a little bit, I was just like, well, I mean, this is what this movie is. Like it is stupid and over the top. So
Yeah,
I didn't really get that bothered by it, but at first I was just like, really? Like but there was nothing they were really going for in the realm of reality with this. So,
yeah. I will say in the second one, he still has a blind girlfriend or wife or something.
okay.
And I think it's supposed to be the same character. I mean, what are the odds of him having two blind girlfriends that are blonde, like bombshells?
Right.
But I do believe she was played by a different actress in the second one, if I remember right.
Okay.
But yeah, that whole thing is ridiculous. And the way he meets her is ridiculous too.
Mhm.
There's a like a fast food place. It reminded me like there's gonna be nobody listening to this except if maybe my friend Anthony's listening to this. That the inside of that restaurant reminded me of the old Dairy Queen in Caro.
Okay.
Like it had the brown uh tile on the floor and then kind of like the knick-knacky stuff around and like these fake plants and lattice work and stuff. It was a lot what Dairy Queen looked like. At least that one. I'm not sure. Other ones could have looked like that too.
Well, it was a Mexican place that for some reason had like katana swords on the wall.
Those were there for a reason, which we find out.
Yeah.
Uh, so like this gang comes in and it's kind of a hodgepodge. It's like this one black guy, and then there's a dude with like a painted face that looks like one of the Road Warriors,
Mhm.
and then like another guy, and you know they try to rob the place, and Toxic of course comes in and he deep fries one dude's hands, rips off another dude's arm and beats him with it. And well, before he does that, one of the dudes wastes the dog, wastes the blind girl's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and I mean, in the words of Joe Bob, it's like you can do whatever you want to do to people, but you kill dogs and people get upset.
Yep.
uh, and that was pretty brutal too, because they showed him and his guts are like laying out. But and then Toxie goes and like wastes the guys and walks off with Sarah, the blind girl, and then they start dating.
And they fall in love
Yeah.
and then they move into the junkyard.
She has no idea. Oh man. Maybe things that were bad. I don't know if there's really too much. I mean, it's goofy. And I mean that humor's not really for everyone. And honestly, the first few times I watched trauma movies, I was just like irritated by it. But the more I watched them, I guess I got more used to it. And I feel like the goofiness kind of fits the idea of this movie because it wasn't ever meant to be taken seriously.
Mhm. Yeah, no, well, that's kind of the thing that I was saying too with the whole relationship where I was just like, this is so stupid. Why are they doing this? But then, just taking a step back where you're just like, well, they're not they're not making a normal movie. So they're not
Right.
going to be caring about the normal elements of a movie with
Hmm.
keeping any part really realistic. So,
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. Oh, the one thing I really couldn't wrap my head around was like, why was one of the cops a Nazi?
right, like a secret Nazi.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it was 1984. I guess at that time there could have been some escaped Nazis still around, but man, he would have been way older than what he was. Uh, yeah, that was really kind of weird. I guess like the main villain of the movie is the crooked mayor,
Hmm.
and aside from the guys that bullied Melvin, but the crooked fat guy mayor was like constantly eating, and it starts off everybody's like loves Toxie. They're like, oh, the monster hero, like he saved people and he is getting rid of crime, and then he kills a lady that people assumed was innocent, but she wasn't.
Hmm.
And then they
Yeah.
start turning on him, and then like the mayor's is like, we got to get rid of this guy, and he sends like a manhunt going after him, and they find him, and that leads to the end where they find out that like the mayor was crooked the whole time, and then another scene that made me laugh is when Toxie's like, let's see if you got any guts. And then he like punches into the mayor's stomach and pulls out his guts. And holds him, and then the mayor like desperately tries to shove him back in and then he instantly dies. It was just so dumb it made me laugh.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing that I kind of noticed, and maybe I missed a part of it there at the end when they discovered the mayor was crooked or whatever, or
Yeah.
bad guy. I don't think they really explained that to everybody.
No, not really at all.
And so
It's kind
this
of brushed over.
this
Like you
hero
woke
just
up for 1 second and he's like, they're all cops are after him and people are swarming around. And then the next minute everybody's cheering after he kills the mayor.
yeah. I but yeah, that was the thing was just like, okay, we know he's a bad guy and a couple other characters know he's a bad guy, but everybody who's sitting there watching the Toxic Avenger kill him, other than the fact that he's threatening his life, does not realize that he's a bad guy. And then he just like mutilates him in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I think it's the people start finding out what that lady wasn't innocent or something like that. It's because they step in when the mayor and the National Guard come to kill Toxie.
Yeah. Yeah, it just, I mean, again, I mean, it's nitpicking because this movie didn't care all that much, but it
Yeah.
was one of those things where it's just like, you didn't really convey that extremely well. One of my favorite scenes, though, that just made me laugh was uh, when they were trying to drive home the part that the mayor was a bad guy. They were having some kind of like secret meeting about where they were dumping their toxic waste, and then some other guy was with them and they're just like, well, we can't dump it here, and they're like, oh, well, we just don't have to tell people that we're dumping it there. And then they all just start laughing and it's just like, ha ha ha, evil plan, ha ha ha. And it was just so awkward and lame, but the thing that just made it more awkward was the girls in the background dancing so horribly in lingerie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was just, it was, they were trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, dark, crooked, evil politicians and all this stuff of like sleazy, no good, whatever. And it was just like, it looked like somebody's basement corner room and nothing special about it and didn't really add anything. And these two girls were just like dancing in the background to try to make it seem more like, I don't know, risque, inappropriate. I
Yeah.
don't know.
There's a lot of pointless nudity in this movie too, at least at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, you come to expect that with a um like an exploitation movie from the 80s. And then you get like the one girl that goes into the spa or in the sauna with a picture of that kid's exploded head and
Oh, yeah.
starts like playing with herself to it, and then Toxic comes in and kills her. But
Yeah.
it's just ridiculousness there. Oh, I think. if I'm going by favorite kill, I think the one um that he does to that guy who's like doing the chest press with the stack of weights and he slams it down on the guy's face
Oh
and like
yeah.
rips off part of his skull and the guy like stands up and you can only see like his bottom jaw.
Hmm.
That one is so ridiculous. That one was pretty great.
Hmm.
And the disemboweling of the mayor was pretty hilarious as well.
Well, the first fight thing too, where he first attacks,
Yeah.
um, and he fights the guys in the alley, and he like,
Cigar face.
yeah, he totally crushed some dude in the crotch and all these other things.
Yeah.
It just started off over the top. And every step of the way, he's not rescuing people, he is mutilating the bad guys
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, I'll say in the second one too, it gets even more ridiculous. Like one guy gets his nose pressed in like a waffle iron. It's like almost Three Stooges level of
Hmm.
ridiculous. That one is pretty fun too, I'll say. Um, I still think the first one's the best, at least out of the two that I've seen. I still haven't seen part three or four, but yeah. Uh, excuse me. Um, Anything else to touch on? You want me to get the trivia and facts?
Trivium facts.
Oh, right. So, an 18-year-old Marissa Tomei appears in this movie in the director's cut as an extra coming out of the shower in a plaid towel.
Oh,
And if you Google Marissa Tomei in Toxic Avenger, you'll see that shot. It's just her running out of shower screaming with the towel wrapped around her. So a head crushing scene of the little boy was based on a time when Lloyd Kaufman was backing a car out of his garage and accidentally hit his younger sister. Nobody was harmed, but the memory haunted him for years, he said.
so he made a movie scene about it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So the violent looking crushing of the kid's head in the movie, it was accomplished by injecting a watermelon with corn syrup and red food dye. A wig was placed on the melon and it was fitted onto a dummy. Though cheap, the effect was highly unsettling.
Yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
it was quick enough, but long enough that it definitely drove that home.
Yeah. So while shooting in Shinbone Alley, a homeless man stole a prop gun from one of the trailers and threatened the crew with it.
That's funny.
Larry Sultan, who played Frank, only had one arm. During the scene in the Mexican restaurant, you can see his right arm is prosthetic. He never uses it or moves it until Toxie rips it off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So according to Mitch Cohen, who played Toxie, during the filming, the fight scenes, fighting Cigar Face and his gang in Shinbone Alley, a homeless man walked up to him and offered him a drink, believing him to be a genuine homeless burn victim.
Interesting.
Yeah. The spinning newspapers that were used were simply newspapers placed on a spinning cheese rack.
Hmm.
The scene where the guide dog gets shot received the most complaints by Troma up to that time.
I'm sure they did it without hurting the dog.
Yeah. The guide dog that was shot was trained to glide across the floor on command, and its quote unquote guts were spaghetti covered in gray paint.
Hmm. There you go.
So during pre production, Vincent D'Onofrio was set to play the role of Bozo. Prior to filming, D'Onofrio asked for a slight raise and was instead fired from the film and replaced by Gary Schneider.
Huh.
So the monster that Melvin turns into is never actually referred to as the Toxic Avenger by any character in the film besides the narrator.
No.
That because they did not have a name for the character as the film was being made. This is proof further by the kids in the film wearing T-shirts say "I love the monster hero."
Oh, true. Interesting.
So it took 4 hours to get Mitch Cohen into the Toxic Avenger costume, while wearing it, he could only eat through a straw.
Ugh.
Yeah. And the last thing I got is this movie had a $475,000 budget, and I don't think it had a box office.
No.
It was one of those movies that was just shown late night at different theaters and never had like a full on release.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. We got grades, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think they are?
Oh, IMDb, um, 3.7.
It is a 6.2.
What? Shut up. What?
Dude, I told you this movie has a big fan base.
Dude, it's better. That's better than Terror Train.
Yeah,
That's so messed up. Okay. Rotten Tomato critic, 70%.
it is 70%.
Snap. Okay. So Rotten Tomato audience, 81%.
64.
Oh, dang, it went down. Rock. I think I went first last time, so
Okay. Um, yeah, this is a movie I enjoy. I've seen it a handful of times. Um, it's one of those I kind of have to be in the mood to watch it
mhm.
because it is so goofy and like the tone is so out there. I guess it's kind of the way with a lot of trauma movies, but I don't know. It's always fun just to like turn your brain off and watch this kind of goofy crap. And just like the stories going into how they made it and like how it was made for pretty much no budget and the effects and all that kind of stuff they were able to do, and the fact that they created Toxie, who went on to be in 4 or 5 movies, and then he had a Saturday morning TV cartoon too called Toxic Crusaders.
Seriously.
Yeah, and video games for it, and
That's
action figures and all that kind of stuff
uh,
in the early '90s. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I couldn't give it a 5, but I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5.
okay. Yeah, well, I'm actually kind of like right there with you. It is so we're in Awesomely Bad. It is an awesomely bad movie. It's not as rewatchable as some of the other awesomely bad movies that we've done.
Yeah.
Honestly, it reminded me kind of Hard Ticket to Hawaii for me.
Okay.
Um just from the standpoint of it's got a lot of decent elements and everything, but it didn't have a lot of draw for me personally from a rewatchability standpoint. Um I feel like Hard Ticket to Hawaii had more bang for your buck, kind of like there were more scenes that were memorable.
Yeah.
But this one is, I mean, it has those awesomely bad elements, over the top ridiculousness and things like that. So I I also landed at a 4 out of 5. I mean, it's they were going for kind of that awesomely bad
Yeah.
with this movie, and so it they were able to do it rather successfully. So definitely had no idea what to expect going into it, and definitely quite the unique movie. So yeah, landed at 4 out of 5.
Rock. Yeah, so we're going to be going from pure ridiculousness to absurdity. Because we're going to be talking about Basket Case next week. And I feel like these two movies would probably make a pretty decent double feature. Um, I don't remember if I told you last week, but Frank Henenlotter made Basket Case. He's the same dude that made Brain Damage,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
movie we watched with that slug that feeds on your brain, makes you hallucinate.
yeah.
But yeah, this one's probably his most known movie. Uh, and this is one I've seen in theater. And I think the first time I watched it, I bought it on DVD for like next to nothing on Amazon. And for whatever reason, the day that I got it, my dad like came to visit and we decided to watch it.
Hmm.
And it was one of those, what the heck did we just watch movies? So, and my dad still talks about it every once in a while. I was like, what was that movie we watched that was so weird? But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because it's such a fun movie and it's completely ridiculous. Um, yeah, so if you guys are liking the show, please subscribe and share. You can follow us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform. The YouTube channel's got some different stuff up there. We got some TikTok stuff. Haven't had anything new on TikTok in a while. I might have to do something about that. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying Awesomely Bad Month, come by next time. We're going to be talking about a classic in basket case. But until then, as always, be kind and rewind.